Congratulations, you received the Light Medallion. Ra-Ru, the sage, adds his power to yours. Welcome to Occult Perspectives, everybody. Hope everyone's doing all right. I decided to go ahead and cover Zelda Part 4, the Ocarina of Time. I was able to sift through my notes a little bit, see what I had already covered in the previous videos, got rid of those notes, added a couple notes from the things that I had already covered in parts 1, 2, and 3. This will be part 4 now. So here we go. We had left off in the last video at this part where you get the first medallion. Let's see here. Okay, so directly after this, Link talks to Sheik, and as we've talked about the Sheikah before, they're the race of people who are like the guardians to the royal family, so they are always the protectors. This is Navy telling you you won't be able to use some of your weapons anymore. Yeah, there's Sheik, and Sheik always has one eye covered, and it's a red eye. There might be some significance to that, perhaps. Okay. When evil rules, an awakening voice from the sacred realm will call those destined to be sages who dwell in the 5 temples, one in a deep forest, the high mountain, vast lake, within the house of the dead, one inside a goddess of the sand, together with the hero of time. The awakened ones will bind the evil and return the light of peace to... missed that. Let's go back. The awakened ones will bind the evil and return the light of peace to the world. Okay, so some symbolical significance there. This is the legend of the temples passed down by my people. The Sheikah, I believe it said. As we discussed in previous videos, protect the royal family. Yep, they're like a tribe. Sheik is the survivor. Is supposed to be the lone survivor of the Sheikahs, but isn't really true because Impa is one of the sages as well. Standing there holding the mystical blade. If you believe the legend, you have no choice to look for the 5 sages within the 5 temples. One sage is waiting for the time of awakening in the Forest Temple, which of course is Sarah. Because of the evil power in the temple, she can't hear the awakening call from the sacred realm. This is where you're told that you have to get the hook shot, basically. Not told directly, but you're told to head to Kakarika village, which is where Impa originally comes from, so that kind of makes sense with that Sheikah tribal connection. Okay, this is when you let's see what happens here. Yep, this is when Sheik shows up when you first arrive at the Forest Temple. And every time you meet up with Sheik like this, you get like an interesting passage, which is very reminiscent of like ritual work and such. This one's pretty. It says, "The flow of time is always cruel. Its speed seems different for each person, but no one can change it. A thing that doesn't change with time is a memory of younger days." So that's the passage for the Forest Temple one. Oh, sorry. In order to come back here again, Sheik goes ahead and teaches you the melody of the forest, which is the Minuet of Forest, which I'm sure most of you have heard if you've played this game before. So we'll go ahead and skip this. And then you go back to the Chamber of Sages. And she goes on to talk about how she and Link are not destined to be in the same world. Let's just continue. Sarah says, you don't have to explain anything to me. That is because the destiny that you and I can't live in the same world. And Sarah always knew from a young age that she was different from Link. This is where you get the Forest Medallion. And as we check this out, the symbolism on it in the last video, it has these spirals on it. Almost reminds me more of a wind symbol, you know, looks like wind, or it could just be the spiral, the sacred spiral on there. This is the part, this is very emblematic of resurrection. This is where you meet the Deku Tree Sprout. The Forest Temple curse is broken because you've defeated Phantom Ganon, which is the boss of the Forest Temple. This is emblematic of renewal of life, very akin to the Sprig of Acacia. For those of you who know what that is, I've discussed that a little bit in a previous video. You and Sarah broke the curse on the Forest Temple. I can grow and flourish, it says. None of the Kokiri recognize him because he's all grown up. And the reason he could leave the forest, he ends up learning here, is because he ended up being a Hylian, of course. Link is a Hylian and not originally from the Kokiri forest. And then he goes on to tell you the story of your mother. Let's see. One day, to escape from the fires of war, a Hylian mother and her baby boy entered this forbidden forest. The mother was gravely injured. Her only choice was to entrust the child to the Deku Tree, the guardian spirit of the forest. The Deku Tree could sense that this was a child of destiny whose fate would affect the entire world, so he took him into the forest. And the Deku Tree Sprout, you know, says I'm going to reveal this secret basically to you, and this is what he tells you. After the mother passed away, the baby was raised as Kokiri, and now finally the day of destiny has come. The Hylian king ended up unifying the country, though, which is what a true ruler should do, while respecting individual rights, of course. Now you have learned your destiny, so you know what you must do. That's right, you must save the land of Hyrule. The Hylian mother entrusts the child to the Deku Tree, the guardian spirit of the forest. You are a child of destiny. The Deku Tree knew that your fate would affect the entire world, and he took you in as a Kokiri, or took Link in as a Kokiri. This is the part where you learn, I think, the Prelude to Light. So you can come back to the Temple of Time and go back back and forth in time. 7 years. You have to just return the sword to the pedestal. Link was always bound to leave the forest. Destiny is to save the land and break the curse on all the temples, return peace. This theme of traveling through time, putting the sword back in the pedestal of time. You learn the Prelude of Light here. Link holds time itself in his hands when he has the Master Sword and the Ocarina. These are the tools, they're the artifacts which allow Link to move through time back and forth, 7 years back and then 7 years forward once again to where Ganondorf rules, and he's 17. Okay, we don't need to really watch that per se. Go ahead and skip. This is where Link learns the Medallion of Fire, and the beautiful passage for this one. It is something that grows over time, a true friendship, a feeling in the heart that becomes even stronger over time. The passion of friendship will soon blossom into a righteous power, and through it you will know which way to go. This song is dedicated to the power of the heart. That's Sheik's lines in this that he says before he teaches you this song. And then after he teaches you that song, well, I should say she really because it's Zelda. But it's got that little nice marching tune to it. Okay, let's move forward here a little bit. Sheik disappears. That's cool that this is actually popping up because I wrote a note about this. The smoke ring that's over the volcanoes you'll see here, Death Mountain, it goes away after you defeat Volvegia. The smoke ring rather than the fire ring on the mountain once again, which symbolizes that it's at peace. When it has the flames, you know, it's that's when Volvegia is kind of causing destruction and chaos. And there's some interesting lore on Volvegia. Deku Tree is the spirit of the forest, and Jabu Jabu is the spirit of the Zora's domain. So there's a hypothesis on YouTube, you should look it up, Volvegia Lore, the true story of Volvegia. Not only is he Ganondorf's pet, but he wasn't originally. I think he's the guardian spirit of Death Mountain. And that's really akin to, they make the mention of the dragon from the Wind Waker. I can't remember Valu. I think that's his name. There's some kind of similarity between Volvegia and Valu that you should look into if you're a Zelda fan. Check out some videos. This is where Gerudo talks, you know, sworn brothers, blah, blah, blah. This is where you get the... This must be what they call destiny, the sworn, you know, you and Gerudo are sworn brothers. This is where he gives you the Medallion of Fire. Brotherly love, the medallion contains the power of the fire spirits and my friendship, he ends up saying. And then this extra note here at the end, he says, now you and I are true brothers. So that's kind of cool. Let's see here. Like a pen or a marker so I can mark off some of this stuff. This is one of the fairy fountains again. We don't really have to go through too much of this, but I think it's interesting, the symbolism when you walk up to the fairy fountain. I had made a note here, the flames, how there's two flames on either side of the fountain when you go up to the triangle, the Triforce, to play the song, to summon the fairy. These are very akin to the two pillars. You know, we've talked about that many times before. So that's an interesting side note. The blue cubes also that allow you to move through, they don't allow you to move through time. Sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself. The Great Fairy here teaches you a magic spell. It's Pharaoh's wind, and this is symbolized by the green circle within this kind of diamond shape. I don't know if you can see that there. That's Pharaoh's wind. Okay. That off. It's got the, okay, Pharaoh's wind, that makes sense. We were talking about how the green medallion that you get when you beat the Forest Temple, the little symbols on there that look like wind, that's reminiscent of, could be symbolic of Pharaoh's wind too. And with Pharaoh's wind, you create warp points in the dungeon. Okay, before we move on here, because this is another chic scene, cover a couple other things real quick. In the Forest Temple, the cubes that are blue, I think I discussed this in the other video, how they move through time. I think we were talking about the theory of how with the vibration of music, that's what it was. You could move these cubes. Well, what it really is the cubes are moving through time. So when you play the Song of Time, the cube moves from where it was 7 years in the past, or it's changing to 7 years in the past, and then when you play the Song of Time again, you move the blue cube back to where it was. So it's moving through time, the 7-year span of when Link's a kid and when Link's an adult. In the Fire Temple, there's a lot of decorations in there that are very reminiscent of like Mayan stuff. So I thought that was kind of a cool side note too. In the Temple of Fire, all throughout there. The Shikas are shamans. They have the eye symbolism. If you look at the Lens of Truth, which you receive later in the game at the bottom of the well, that has the all-seeing eye on it. Wanted to cover that as well. Sheik's one red eye, and the other one's covered. The Awakening Voice. I thought it was interesting that the Shadow Temple is referred to as the House of the Dead, and the Goddess of the Sand is where you have to, is the Spirit Temple, and that was Sheik after you pulled out this sword from the pedestal. Bind the evil, we already went over that. It goes on to tell the legend of these temples. I don't know if I covered this yet either. The Gerudo Flag, I think in the original Ocarina of Time, I believe is very, if it's not the same, it's very close to the Islam flag. It has the sun, like a sun and a star in it. And this is very sun and moon symbology. So the Hyrule Kingdom is very sun-oriented, it seems like, whereas a lot of religions are more moon symbology. So the Gerudo kind of represent the moon, and you have this with the whole theme of the left and right hemisphere being akin as well to the right and left hemispheres of the globe. On one side of the globe you have like Western culture, which is like the left brain, and then the Eastern philosophies and such as the right brain. And we've been over this before, so the Gerudo would be almost more like the East, and then I think the West is more like solar symbology. It also has to do with Israel. It's I cannot remember. Mark Passio covers it. I know I've discussed it in a couple other videos before, but just wanted to throw that out there, that the Gerudo uses the moon goddess symbology with the sun and some stars on it. Not the sun, the moon and some stars on it. And I think they changed it maybe for the 3DS version, though, of the Ocarina of Time. They probably changed it back. Okay, so moving on. The Zora is frozen under the ice by an evil curse. The monster is the source of the evil curse. You must shut off the source. Is that what he says? Let's see. We meet again, Link, because I made these notes a little while back. If you came here to meet the Zoras, you wasted your time. This is all there is. The Zoras are now sealed under this thick ice sheet. I managed to rescue the Zora princess from under the ice, but she left to head for the water temple. This ice is created by an evil curse. The monster in the water temple is the source of the curse. Unless you shut off the source, this ice will never melt. It's funny, that's what I was referring to, that Sheik mentions it as shut off the source, because the source is the boss. It's really the curse from, and I can't remember what the boss of the water temple is. I don't know why I can't remember that. Morpha or Morphia or something like that. But yeah, it's more like you have to kill the source, because you have to kill the boss, essentially. Okay. If you have courage enough to confront the dangers and save the Zora, blah blah blah, I will teach you the melody that leads to the temple. And this is kind of reminiscent. Every time they're like, are you sure, are you ready to go into the temple? This is reminiscent of initiations. There are a lot of reassurances to make sure that the candidate is truly prepared, like, are you sure, this is, as you proceed forward through the degrees, that everything you've learned up till now, you want to continue this path. It makes that very clear in most kind of initiation systems as you move forward. A nice passage again on, he just said about reflection and the water theme. And it looks like I won't need this paper anymore. Awesome. So for this one, he says, time passes, people move, like a river's flow, it never ends. A childish mind will turn to noble ambition. Young love will become deep affection. The clear water's surface reflects growth. So that's pretty. Ruto and manhood emphasize the theme of manhood. There's a YouTube video, it's called The Subtext on the Ocarina of Time. It's a great video on some of the deeper lore of the Ocarina of Time and the views on it. From being much about adolescence, Link's adolescence. So go check that video out. I can't remember what the guy's YouTube channel is, but that's a great video. But as we see in this scene right here, Ruto emphasizes manhood once again, and also marital love. Let's just see. Link, I would have expected no less from the man I chose to be my husband. Zora's domain and its people will eventually return to their original state. As a reward, I grant my eternal love to you. Yeah, Gerudo's kind of silly. Well, that's what I want to say, but I don't think I can offer that now. She's the Sage of Water. You're searching for the princess, Zelda. You can't hide anything from me. She teases about Link going after Zelda. She can't offer the love now because the sages, once they're awakened, they have to move on to this great work that they're a part of now. She says, nothing will stop you in your quest for justice and peace. You must take this. Gerudo senses that the princess is alive. You know, keyword senses. Quest for justice and peace. Justice and peace could be equated to Gebura is severity, justice and peace, which is Hesed, mercy on the tree of life. Just an additional note there. And she said something else there at the end too. What did she say before she gave him the medallion? I like to go through and just analyze the text pretty heavily. You must take this medallion and take it respectfully. Okay, so that's kind of a key note right there in subtext. Sheik saved Ruto and is Zelda, so that's kind of ironic because Gerudo makes a mention about how Sheik saved her. The lake, as we see after this, it rises. The theme of balance of nature, Shinto, that's also a theme that's explained in that YouTube video I just told you about that's re-emphasized throughout the whole game, and it's very similar to the Taoist philosophy, but Shinto, it's a really cool belief system. You should check that out if you haven't. I'm assuming I've talked about the symbolism on the teleportation pads, you know, in front or next to each temple. As to, I think it's the same pattern that's on the medallions. We could kind of stop and look and check it out real quick. But yeah, I think it's the same as the water medallion that's on this pad. Yep, that pad right over there. The lake rises up. Hyrule is somewhere personified here as female. That's interesting. I think Sheik says her. Let's see. If we get the camera a little closer for a minute. We have to return peace to Hyrule for her sake too, don't we? Or maybe Sheik is just referring to Princess Gerudo. That could be as well. As the water rises, the evil is vanishing from the lake. Link, you did it. Link's like, ah. Did Gerudo want to thank me? I see. We have to return peace to Hyrule for her sake too. Oh, okay. So yeah. Sheik was referring to Gerudo, not Hyrule herself. I was just a little misconception there. The lake is filled with water. All is as it was here. And then Sheik just kind of disappears, I think. All right, we're at 23 minutes. Well, almost 24 minutes. So I'm going to see how much longer I can keep this video trucking along. Let's see what's next. Okay, Link goes to Kakarika village and it's on fire and everything. Evil shadow spirit is released. Impa sealed it in the well long ago, but its power got too strong. It was sealed in the Shadow Temple again by Impa. I'm not sure, or Sheik. It'll probably say in the dialogue here. The Shadow Temple is actually beneath the graveyard. So yeah, let's just go ahead and, yeah, I guess that's great. Bongo Bongo, I guess the spirit of Bongo Bongo that's really possessing Sheik and doing all this crazy stuff. But let's go ahead and skip all that and get to the seal of the well broke and it escaped into the world. So the spirit was sealed down there and then it broke out. Impa has gone to the Shadow Temple to seal it again, but she will be in danger without any help. So you're to go to help her to seal the evil again. The destroy the evil shadow spirit and save save Impa. The only thing I can do for you is teach you the melody. Of course, she always teaches you new songs. And this time, what does the passage say? Past, present, future. The Master Sword is a ship with which you can sail upstream and downstream through time's river. The port for that ship is in the Temple of Time. Oh, that's when you learn the Requiem of Spirit. How did I skip ahead to that? I totally lost my spot. Okay. This is the I'm sorry, I skipped ahead. This is the melody that will draw you into the infinite darkness that absorbs even time, the nocturne or nocturnal of shadow. The sheiks serve as attendants to the royal family, as we said before. Role of protector being emphasized, the 6 wise ones. I have to stay here. That must be a little bit later in the video when Link gets the medallion from Sheikah, or Impa, I'm sorry. I keep getting those terms mixed up. Yep, that's the next thing popping up there. Yep, I kind of missed what she said there. The boy with the noble Zelda's Ocarina. As I expected, you have come. I am Impa, one of the Sheikah. I am Princess Zelda's caretaker, and I am also the sage who guards the Shadow Temple. We Sheikah have served the royalty of Hyrule from generation to generation as attendants. However, on that day 7 years ago, Ganondorf suddenly attacked and Hyrule Castle surrendered after a short time. Ganondorf's target was one of the keys to the Sacred Realm, the hidden treasure of the royal family, the Ocarina of Time. My duty bound me to take Zelda out of Ganondorf's reach. When last I saw you, as we made our escape from the castle, you were just a lad, just a wee lad. You'd become a fine hero. There's nothing to worry about. The princess is safe now. Soon, you'll meet Princess Zelda face to face, and she will explain everything. That is when we, the 6 wise ones, will seal up the evil king and return peace to Hyrule. The 6 wise ones, like the ancient sages, you know. I have to stay here, you go to Zelda's side, protect her, blah, 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 and I put my power in your hands with this medallion. Okay. Alrighty. Yeah, we're at 28 minutes. I think I'll go ahead and end the video here. For the most part, Shadow Medallion, Impa awakens as a sage and adds her power to yours. What's the little end note here? We'll check this out real quick. Please look out for the princess, of course. As I mentioned in the last video too, there's a couple of really good videos on YouTube about Majora's Mask lore too. I'm not really going to cover that too much. I've got a couple little notes here. The whole theme of Clock Town's kind of interesting, with the 4 directions. It doesn't really correspond with the elements. I've tried to make it work so that it does, but it doesn't. Like, you have the beach, which I think is towards the west, the ocean, but the Akana Canyon is like towards the east maybe, and then the mountains are in the north, I believe, so that could be kind of the place of darkness. But the south is the forest, which I guess if you're viewing it from the lesser hexagram viewpoint, I think the south is Earth, the forest, so that could work for that if you kind of mix and match up the elements for the 4 directions of Clock Town. We're talking about Majora's Mask here instead of Ocarina of Time. So it's Termina. It's weird that Terminate, like there's great videos done on YouTube about Majora's Mask lore. If at some point I end up getting through the rest of Ocarina of Time, this is taking me forever because I'm just so over analytical now, and I just want to pick and pull at all the little pieces and get all the little esoteric tidbits I can out of these videos and such. because I enjoy it so much. Like, this is, to me, it's like, it's work, but it's also fun. So this is kind of what keeps me going. It's my new hobby, you know, other than just playing the guitar and doing some music here or there. This YouTube channel is really what I love to do. It's kind of weird if, because Termina as well in Majora's Mask, we're not even sure if it's real or if Link's imagining it the whole time, because there's a theory that he fell off Epona, so he's like knocked unconscious and he's just having this whole internal experience of the game the whole time. We're not really sure. A lot of moon symbolism, the moon of course crashing into the world, and you, towards the end of the game, you enter the moon actually. So this whole game has like a very apocalyptic Twilight Realm feel about it. The Curse of the Skull Kid, the fact that he's able to turn you into like a vegetable, a Deku Scrub, is very strange. This could be equated to in Dante's Inferno, the chapter in Hell where the trees are like alive. It's kind of creepy, like in that sense. Reminds me of the ends from the Lord of the Rings too. I wrote that down. The astronomer in Clocktown, he's a really interesting dude because he's always just got the telescope and he's looking up at the stars and stuff. He's the old astronomer, you know. He's probably the old like hermit mason dude like in the town or whatever, you know. He's just kind of he's compiled like all the information and he's got all the archive stuff and he's following the stars movements and stuff, so that's kind of cool. Tattle and Tail, the duality of the two fairies. There's a black and white fairy and they're brother and sister, so there's some interesting symbolism to that as well, the duality of these, the brother and the sister fairies. I think that pretty much covers it. It's weird that Epona just like magically appears there too. That's covered in some of the Majora's Mask videos on YouTube. Very well done videos. They're gonna go into way more lore, deeper, interesting theories and such. For me, I'm just trying to show you more of the occult perspectives. And as we said before, with the 4 cardinal directions of Termina itself, this is kind of akin in ceremonial magic to the, you know, the elemental directions and the evocation of the archangels. Alrighty, so I think that pretty much covers everything. There's the Majora's Mask itself comes from an interesting dark occult tribe, and there's some lore you can find as well on that. And the whole Fierce Deities Mask, Fierce Deity, that's quite interesting. You can find out lore. You can look up lore for that as well on YouTube. Just look up Majora's Mask, and there's all kinds of stuff, all kinds of cool people out there doing videos. It's very refreshing to see other people doing research channels and just, you know, giving their perspectives on all this stuff too, and like really digging in and seeing what the deeper meaning of these video games and these books. And let's just keep studying and keep doing the great earth work, keep doing the great work. So I've rambled long enough. Hope you all are well. Peace and blessings. Thank you.